Good afternoon. This is Graham Boettcher, Executive Director of the Birmingham Museum of Art, with another Director's Cut. I want to thank you for choosing to spend a portion of your afternoon with me today. And as always, I want to stress that I'm maintaining social distancing. There's other essential staff here in the building. Most of our staff is working from home. But as for me, I am the only person in the gallery right now. I'm particularly pleased today to talk about one of my favorite works in the collection, and that's what I refer to as a modern masterpiece, Kerry James Marshall's School of Beauty, School of Culture. So without any further ado, let's take a look at the painting. And although I have gotten my hands on a tripod, you might be able to see it in the background. There is so much rich detail in this painting that I want to be able to keep the camera handheld today so I can zoom in and share those details with you. So bear with me just a moment and we will turn the camera on the painting. So those of you who know me well can probably see why this is one of my favorite paintings. It is loaded with color. Every time I see this picture, it makes me happy. The other reason that I love this picture so much is that as an art historian, I love the rich detail that it contains. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. I want to tell you a little bit about the artist behind this painting. He is perhaps one of the best known painters in this country, and I would even chance to say in the contemporary art world. His name is Kerry James Marshall, and with respect to the city of Birmingham, he's one of our native sons. He was born in Birmingham, and he moved to Los Angeles as a child. He now makes his home in Chicago. But that said, we still consider him one of our own, and he considers himself a Birminghamian as well. He's been to this museum on several occasions, and we have collected Kerry James Marshall's work for many, many years. Alas, for the longest time, what eluded us was one of his major paintings. And his work was in such high demand that there was a waiting list. I believe there still is. But we were finally able to acquire not just any example of his work, but what I believe is one of the finest examples of his work anywhere. It is, as you can see, a women's beauty parlor, and it is a companion piece in some ways to an earlier work that he created that's in the collection of the Los Angeles County Museum of Art called De-Style. Which is a play on words, playing off of the Dutch movement in modern art, Die Stijl, spelled with a J instead of style, like a stylist, S-T-I-J-L. And that's the movement associated with Piet Mondrian. And the colors that look like the side of the Partridge Family's bus, if that's the best way to explain it. If you're not familiar with Piet Mondrian's work, these blocks of pure color, yellow, blue, and red. And so that painting refers to Piet Mondrian's work. This painting has multiple art historical and historical references. If I were going to sum up this painting in just 3 words, I would say that you could sum it up by saying, "Black is beautiful." Black is beautiful became a popular catchphrase in the 1960s and 1970s, growing out of the civil rights and black power movements. And it was a way of giving blacks, not just African Americans in this country, but blacks worldwide. Stephen Biko in South Africa, the apartheid activist, often wrote about the beauty of blackness in his work. And it was to give blacks a sense of pride in their own bodies and to thereby be empowered by a sense of their own beauty. And this painting definitely exudes black beauty everywhere, but it also offers a critique of some of the models of beauty that black children have been given in American culture over time. And I want to call your attention first to, I guess what we might call it, the elephant in the room. It's one of the most unusual features of this painting, and it's this, and I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit. It's this unusual object here. And it's a bit difficult to discern what it is from this vantage point. If I turn slightly, and I'm turning the detail very deliberately, it starts to maybe come into view what it is. And that is, it is Disney's Princess Aurora from the 1959 Disney film Sleeping Beauty. So here we are in the midst of a beauty parlor that is filled with lovely, stunning examples of beautiful black women. But yet at the center of this composition is a blonde-headed, fair-skinned Disney princess. And I think most of you know that for many years, those are the only sorts of princesses that Disney offered America's children. There were no Disney princesses until very recently who weren't white and who conformed to the most often promulgated models of beauty that we see in the pages of magazines and on TVs and in movies. And this painting seeks to call attention to the fact that there are examples of black beauty that surround us every day. And this beauty parlor makes many, many references to black beauty, not just in this space itself, but historically. I want to call your attention to the footrest on this barber's chair, and it says Sheba Company. That's a reference to the Queen of Sheba, the biblical queen who was known for her great beauty and for her black skin. I also want to call attention to a couple other examples of beauty in this picture and that also serve as art historical references. Above this chair is the poster of a painting by the British-born artist of Nigerian descent, Chris O'Feely, that was exhibited at the Tate Gallery in London. And it's a painting entitled Blossom. So abstract, to be sure, but a painting that is a celebration of black womanhood and black beauty. If we move over to the center of the painting and we look above the door, I think some of you on the left will recognize the image of Lauryn Hill from the album The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. And then next to it is an image of the artist's own wife, Cheryl Lynn Bruce, which says, "Love always, Cheryl." So on one hand, this painting deals with contemporary popular culture. On the other hand, it's deeply personal. And that is a great segue to one of my favorite components of this painting, and that is this detail. If you look at the composition, you can see that there is a reflection of an individual taking a picture with full flash in the glass door of the beauty parlor. And so that person, since it's a reflection, would be standing approximately where I'm standing with my camera right now, which then helps us make sense of this woman who's posing for the camera and she's quite literally striking a pose. The individual in the background is believed to be Kerry James Marshall himself, the artist, and it functions also as a reference to the painting, a very famous painting, the Arnolfini wedding portrait from 1434 by the Flemish artist Jan van Eyck. I think some of you might be familiar with that painting from art history books or even from the opening credits of the old TV show Growing Pains when they showed historic married couples throughout the ages. In the background of that painting, in a convex mirror, is a reflection, and in that reflection is believed to be a tiny self-portrait of the artist himself, who would be standing on the opposite side of the room. Similarly, our Princess Aurora in the center is also an art historical reference. It refers to a painting from 1533 by the German artist Hans Holbein, who worked in London at the court of Henry VIII. And the painting to which it refers to specifically is entitled The Ambassadors, and it's in the National Gallery in London. In the center of The Ambassadors is not an image of Sleeping Beauty, and this sort of an optical device has a specific name. It's called an anamorphic device, and it is a type of picture that comes into sharper vision. It's painted in such a way that it's askew, and then when you shift your own perspective, you can bring it into sharper view. But in the center of Hans Holbein's Ambassadors is a skull, and it's meant to serve as a reminder of our own mortality, just the same way that Sleeping Beauty here is meant to serve as a reminder of the traditional way or the traditional models of beauty in American culture. And I love in particular the little children. They look at this image of Sleeping Beauty with such curiosity, and I love the kind of sense of connectedness of the figures. The little girl with the bottle in her hand, she's turning around as if to ask her mother, "Hey, what's going on here? What is this thing?" And then this little guy right here with his saggy diaper bottom, we might call it, just such an adorable and charming depiction of a child. He's looking at it with total curiosity. And that's one of the things I like about Kerry James Marshall's work in general. He really focuses on the humanity of the figures in the painting. I want to say something about the way that he paints figures in specific. When you look at this painting, you might notice that Kerry James Marshall paints his figures as black. And that's why I say that the expression "black is beautiful" is really a perfect catchphrase to describe this painting. But you would be mistaken if you thought that he used only one shade of black. In point of fact, Kerry James Marshall uses 7 different shades of black to model the figures seen in this painting. It's a very sophisticated painting process, and he's able to achieve really fascinating and beautiful skin tones that are very nuanced. And yes, they do have the overall appearance of black, but when you get in closer, and I'll try to get as close as I can, you can see, in fact, there is brown and red, and sometimes shades of blue and green, and all of that is achieved through layering. He uses different pigments which have a different composition, and he knows, for example, that by putting Mars black on, I believe it's carbon black, you can get a red tone. And so I think that that's one thing from a technical standpoint is important to remember. I also want to call attention to some of the other really wonderful details in this painting. I mentioned already the image of Kerry James Marshall's wife, the actress Cheryl Lynn Bruce, who's to the right of Lauryn Hill. But this painting is also infused with other personal aspects. Look at the pictures on the mirror in the beauty parlor. They're family photos. We've got a graduation photo here. We've got, what looks to be an image of someone's mother, perhaps. This is a deeply personal space, and that is something that deserves mention within many communities, but particularly in the African American community. Beauty parlors and barbershops function as a sort of unofficial community center. It's where people go to talk about what's going on in their neighborhood. It's a safe space, it's a trusted space, and it's a place where you catch up with friends and walk out looking even better than when you came in. And so I think that this kind of has the feeling of an inner sanctum or a sacred space for the participants in these activities. I also want to point out a few of the other wonderful details, namely the posters in the beauty shop, which speak entirely to beauty and darkness. It says, it's your hair, love, yes, dark, color changes, lovely. And then we see over here, it says, backwards, I believe it says, the color of seduction is dark. And then over here it says, ultra glow, color changes everything, skin for you to love, beauty, love. And I'm reading that backwards, so hopefully I've gotten that right. But these are all underscoring the idea of blackness and darkness being beautiful. The title of the painting is School of Beauty, School of Culture. And let me talk about that for just a moment. I think you can see reflected in the mirror, it says school, and then you can make out school, just the tail end of beauty, and then School of Culture. So it's entitled School of Beauty, School of Culture. And I think that operates in a couple different ways. If you look at old city directories, you can see that the beauty parlors in many cities around the country, or the beauty schools rather, were often called schools of beauty culture. That there was a culture of beauty. I believe we even had a school of beauty culture here in Birmingham, Alabama. But in this case, Kerry James Marshall has separated those terms. This is a school of beauty. This is a place of beauty, but it's also a place of culture. And I've already pointed out the many, many sophisticated historical and art historical references in the picture. There's one other historical reference that I want to point out, which I think may have caught some of your eyes right away. And those are the three colors that figure prominently in this painting, but most specifically in the band across the top of the heart-shaped mirrors. And it's not a coincidence that the mirrors are heart-shaped. This is about being in love with Black beauty and celebrating and embracing Black beauty. So no coincidences. Nothing is accidental in this picture. The three colors in the band across the top are the tricolor of the Pan-African flag designed by Marcus Garvey in 1920, the red, the black, and the green. And they do have a specific symbolic content, and if you will bear with me for just a moment, see if I've remembered my notes on that. Well, I will have to post that later. I thought that I had written that down, and I worried I would forget it. But I will post that in the comments section when this video is posted. Those three colors, I think most of you recognize, have stayed, even though they were originated with Marcus Garvey in 1920. They have become colors that are synonymous with Black empowerment and Black pride. They are the colors associated with Kwanzaa, and they are the colors that have been incorporated on other flags that symbolize Black power, Black pride, and Black empowerment. And so nothing, as I said, is accidental in this picture. I want to thank you all for joining me today. I'm going to be broadcasting like clockwork. My communications director here at the museum, Kate Boehm, encouraged me to get on a regular schedule. And so you can please mark your calendars for Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 2 p.m. when I'll be broadcasting live from the galleries. So thank you again. Be well, be safe, and God bless.